Hi everyone, welcome to Get Mental Podcast. This is Cecille. I hope you are having a great week as always. Today I wanted to talk about hope. And why do I want to talk about hope? Because we just got done with our elections, and in the US, if you're for the Biden-Harris camp, your sense of hopefulness about the world has tremendously increased, I imagine. But if you're on the other side, if you're a Trumpist, as they call it, your sense of hope probably significantly diminished. You're probably feeling really hopeless. And this situation was reversed in 2016, when the people who voted for Trump were a lot more hopeful, and the people who voted for Hillary were a lot more hopeless. So elections have a lot to do with hope, doesn't it? Who would have known? But it got me thinking about the psychology of hope and the science of hope. And in mental health, we know that hopefulness is one of the key factors that we look for in someone's ability to feel good about themselves and in their ability to achieve certain goals and affect certain outcomes in their lives. Hopefulness is also the thing that we assess, one of the key things we assess when somebody is feeling suicidal or feeling really depressed, because the less hope we have, usually the less purpose and reason and drive we have to live out our best life, or in some cases to stay alive. So this is really, really important, guys. And why I'm excited to talk about this today is because there's ways to cultivate hope, okay? But let me tell you a little bit more about hope. It's something that has been researched significantly, and University of Oklahoma they have a Hope Research Institute or Hope Research Center. So if you want to know more about it, I would say refer to their resources. But generally speaking, hope is correlated with positive self-esteem. It is correlated with increased sense of meaning and purpose, and it is known to increase a sense of motivation and determination to pursue goals despite the adversities that lie ahead. So it's one of the things that sustain us, even though the road may be difficult or bumpy. Okay? And people who are more hopeful tend to be more optimistic. Therefore, they also then tend to dream bigger and tend to achieve bigger goals, because the hope stays alive, right? It keeps you striving and it keeps you on purpose. So that's what I love about hope. So hope, they say, is a better predictor of happiness and success than intelligence. It's also a better predictor of, goal achievement. Social support is really important when we talk about hope, because it is said that social support increases our hopefulness. So that kind of makes sense when you think about it, right? When we're isolated, when we feel alone or lonely, you're not feeling very optimistic or hopeful about things. So I think that's an interesting correlation there, according to the research, that social support is directly correlated to our sense of hopefulness about our lives and about the world. So that's why it's important, guys, that even though we're in a pandemic, that you are still really actively and intentionally nurturing and attending to your loving relationships, okay? So self-efficacy is one of the things that I thought about when I was thinking about the subject of hope. And so self-efficacy means basically, the simple way to understand is the ability or the belief that I can do it. The I can do it attitude, right? You can check yourself and do a self-assessment of where you are on that spectrum, and that'll give you a kind of quick insight into where your hopefulness level might be. So for example, if you are, pursuing a business, and you are, starting to plan and prepare for the next steps, check in with yourself and ask yourself, on a scale from 0 to 10, how strongly is my belief that I can do this? Okay? Not necessarily that I can be successful and make all this money. No, but that I can meet this goal of establishing this business. Right? And so the answer might be a 5 or it might be an 8. But wherever you fall on that spectrum, that'll give you a sense of how self-efficacious you are feeling about the goal and how hopeful you might be feeling about your ability to do what it takes to meet the goal. Okay? So the thing with being hopeful is it's not just about wishing that things would get better for you. That's not enough. That's not what hope is in this talk, okay? Actually, hope is an active state. It's a verb. It's not just a wish or an idea, okay? I'm going to repeat that. Hope is active. Hope is a verb. Hope chooses to see the good, the opportunities, and the possibilities, okay? Hope chooses to see the good, the opportunities, and the possibilities. So let's bring it back to the election, because that's really what's fresh on people's minds. People who voted for the Biden-Harris camp are feeling really hopeful, like I said earlier. And so now, because of that, there's a lot more possibilities, that people can think about. And they're seeing more good in the world, right? And the people on the other side are probably feeling pretty hopeless and angry and frustrated, and maybe, not seeing a whole lot of opportunities or hope, I guess, for change. So hope expands us. Okay? It makes us dream bigger and move bigger in the world. Hopelessness contracts us, makes us smaller, and makes us not take a whole lot of risks, okay? So that's another way to think of hope and why hope is so key and important in our ability to manifest and create the kinds of experiences we want in our lives, okay? Again, hope is what keeps us striving, and hope is what keeps us on purpose. Now, what is the science saying about hope? Hope, according to science, this is really cool, is that it can block pain by releasing endorphins. Can you believe that? Just by being hopeful and really embodying that. It affects us on a cellular level, and it can block pain because it releases endorphins. How awesome! Hope also leads to more health. Sorry, that was a phone call. Mental health or physical health, because hope is known to protect us from disease. It makes us less susceptible to catch certain diseases, right? Hope also makes us perform better, according to science. And as I mentioned previously, it is positively correlated to healthy self-esteem. And again, it gives us a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. Now, who wouldn't want all of that? Just by being hopeful, okay? And so I want to move into depression here for a little bit, because I know if you're listening and if you're suffering from depression, or you're feeling depressed, or you're suffering from anxiety, or you're feeling worried, it is definitely very hard to feel hopeful, especially, if the sense of hopelessness is very intense. I get that. Okay? What I will say is, it's not your fault. I always say that. But it is your responsibility as to how you can take care of yourself. If you have been diagnosed with depression or anxiety disorder, there are things we can do in therapy to help you decrease the level of hopelessness and increase the level of hopefulness. Medications are sometimes part of the strategy, but sometimes not, okay? But I want to give you a sense of hope about this, that the hopelessness to a certain extent is normal, because remember, your body's constricting, it's tightening up, it's creating narratives and stories about a situation that is often not true. So with therapy, we can help you increase your hopefulness by changing some of these beliefs, by really exploring the narratives you have and really exploring what the fears might be around letting go of the hopelessness, okay? Because we don't have much to lose, honestly, if we choose to be hopeful. But again, it's a practice. It's something you can cultivate. I obviously can't talk about, the step-by-step as to how to do that. It's not a therapy session, but I just wanted to address the people who are listening who are depressed or feeling anxious, that there are real ways we can increase your hopefulness. So give therapy a try, or if you're already in therapy, talk to your therapist about it if this is a recurring kind of issue for you, especially for those people who are impacted by current events or the recent election, okay? So that's what signs are saying. I want to quote something from mindwise.org. It says, psychologists define hope as the overall perception that goals can be met. Okay? So it's the overall perception that goals can be met. And this means, in my opinion, this also means that if you're not meeting the goal, you can still be hopeful. Okay? You can stay in hope if you adopt a learner or student mentality or mindset. So instead of thinking or internalizing the goal not happening for you as a failure, as a personal failure or a defect of character or somehow a reflection of your worth or value, right? What you want to do so that you can still stay hopeful is go, oh, this goal didn't work out. What can I learn from that? What kind of feedback is this experience providing for me that I can utilize to improve? So in some of my talks, I've talked about it's feedback, not failure. So in my work with people, I really try to help people reframe failure as feedback. And my experience in doing that is that it increases people's sense of hopefulness. It gets you right back on track, You take yourself out of the equation and you start looking at things less personally, more critically, more logically, and it just, you kind of move on, basically. You learn the lesson you need to learn and you move on and you don't personalize it. Easier said than done, I know. So if this again is a recurring pattern for you, please, please, please seek the help of a trained therapist so we can address the core beliefs of I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, etc., etc., and free those parts so that you can just look at so-called failure as an opportunity to learn and to grow, okay? So again, just to recap here, hope can block pain by releasing endorphins. Hope makes us more or less susceptible to disease, and it's known to increase performance. It is a better predictor of success than intelligence or natural ability alone. People who are hopeful tend to be more optimistic, dare to dream bigger, actually achieve those dreams, and the motivation and the sense of meaning and purpose also tend to be just a lot better. Hope is an active state. It's a verb. It chooses to see the good, the opportunities, and the possibilities. And it is something that can be cultivated, okay? So right now, what inspired me, like I said, to do this talk is because as a therapist, I have the privilege of helping people on both sides of the political spectrum. And I know my Biden-Harris folks are very happy, but my Trump-Pence folks are not. Granted, I live in California. I don't have, the majority of the people I support are, Democrats. But I do also have amazing people I support who, supported Trump and Pence. So I want you to know that at the end of the day, regardless of who is in office, we are still ultimately personally responsible for ourselves, and that you have the power and ultimate agency over your life, regardless of if your president of choice didn't win. Okay? That yes, it's very painful. I mean, my last session here, I was just supporting somebody who supported Trump, and they were very, very upset and sad about it. So it is very painful. There is a grief process around some of this. But again, the powerlessness really is at the center of the pain, and the powerlessness creates hopelessness. So the message is, what are some of the things that make you feel hopeful? How can you increase your level of hopefulness? What are the actual things you have control over? What fills your cup? Okay? What makes you be on purpose? What makes you feel joy and, happiness, or what makes you feel fulfilled, right? So there's a lot of big questions here that is worth reflecting on. But really, at the end of the day, the big message, the big takeaway here is don't lose hope in yourself, because that is everything. Believing in your own capacity for growth, for change, for resilience, to handle what doesn't go your way, your belief and hope in your own ability to reach goals, to meet goals, to succeed, to bounce back, to learn. All of that is up to you. At the end of the day, it's up to you. You have power, you have choice, you have agency. Okay? That's really what I want you guys to take away from this. And you can apply this to any other part of your life, not just the election, right? But any worthy endeavor, you can apply this. Learn about it, cultivate hope in your life, think about good things in your life, think about good things in the world. That can increase your sense of hopefulness, okay? So hopefully this talk gives both sides of the political party a renewed sense of hope in your ultimate ability to affect your life and to affect each other, regardless of the deep political divide amongst us, and to affect our world in a positive way. Okay? It's up to us to lower the temperature. It's up to us to treat each other with respect, love, and kindness. That's what's going to give all of us hope, is how we manage our differences and how we move through conflict, okay? And we are either being part of the problem or we're being part of the solution. So you need to think about, where am I on this spectrum? And even if you don't agree with the people who supported Trump, for example, ask yourself, where am I on the spectrum? Am I being part of the problem or am I being part of the solution? And vice versa. For those of you who are not, understanding the whole platform that the Democrats ran on, ask yourself, is what I'm about to say, or is how I'm about to treat this person going to be part of the solution or part of the problem? We are all responsible for it. But what can help us towards healing is the sense of hope, right? That it can be done. Okay? The sense of hope that it can be done, that we can learn to like each other again, regardless of political party. Let us not give it that much power. Okay? That's my hope, you guys. That's my hope. Because this has been very fresh for me because, like I said, I'm in the business of supporting everybody from different belief systems. So that's my hope, is that we do not lose sight of our shared humanity. And I'm going to do everything in my power to keep bringing that message home. And I hope that this gives you much pause about how hope can positively affect your personal life and how hope can positively affect the larger world outside of you. So that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was inspiring and energizing. And like I always say, be well, be gentle, stay hopeful, get mental, because we all have issues. Bye for now.